DJ Boxing Live here. DJ Boxing Live here.
I'm telling you like this. I have Wilder as my #1 heavyweight because, you know, if you look at the rankings, once again, these guys are not fighting each other. I know that Klitschko, I'm not saying that Klitschko's not a signature win. You can't explain everything with one comment, okay? But all I'm saying is some people are not going to see Klitschko as a signature win because he was coming off of a loss against Tyson Fury and because of his age and inactivity and stuff like that. So until these top fighters fight each other and all of these sanctioning bodies, look, you got the WBC, the WBA, both of those got different champs. You got Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker, and Deontay Wilder. All three of them got belts, okay? I don't think nobody's going to give away their belt. But if you look at the rankings, and I'm looking at them right now, I'm not going to lie, they're right in front of me, and I don't see where anybody has done anything significant over anyone else. All Anthony Joshua is the victory over unless you want to consider the Dillian White. But who the hell did Dillian White beat? I'm looking at this shit right now. I don't know where anybody's done anything significant over anybody else. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well,
does anybody got any comment to that?
Yeah, Beats will probably rebuttal that. I just muted you, Beats, for a second, so you unmute yourself because I was getting some feedback. Go ahead, Beats, or whoever wants to come back with that.
But I still don't understand how, by default, AJ wouldn't be technically the #1 until someone beats him.
Because I mean, he has 2 of the belts. He has the WBA and the IBF. If you look at Anthony Joshua's resume, his championship bout was against Charles Martin, who beat Glasgow.
I agree.
Okay, so I mean, other than the Klitschko win, what has he done that's really significant? Unless you want to consider Dillian White.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. The Klitschko win is like the best win out of all the champions we have, our least bad win, if you want to put it that way. You know what I mean? They
fight each other. They need to set up something. See, me, I personally blame the sanctioning.
I agree on that point. I really do feel they need to be fighting each other way more. I agree about that totally.
I mean, if you look at these ranking systems, and I study them very hard, like in the anything from the 70s and back, a lot of these champions, okay, we know the split occurred around 61, okay? Anything from the 70s and back, all of these champions fought nothing but a bunch of non-title fights, which had changed somewhere around, I looked at it real good, it changed around the late 70s where they threw out all these, I don't know what the non-title bouts was about. Maybe one of you guys know better than me, but I had no idea until I did research that these guys fought all these non-title fights back in the day. All I know is that a split occurred in 1961, I believe. In 2003, and I did research, in 2003, the WBA, the IBF, and the WBC, they had a meeting of some sort, and they're the ones who decided to rank the WBO and make them a recognized belt. So as of that point, around 2000, in the early 2000s, you had to collect all 4 belts. That's why if you go to like any website where they're credited undisputed champions, you will notice that once you get to the early 2000s, they're requiring these guys to have all the belts. It's because the other sanctioning bodies allow the WBO to be recognized. Now, will they do that with the IBOs? You know, it's just getting more confusing. I've heard some of the things thrown out there about maybe the belts don't have any power no more. Maybe we should replace them. But if you're going to replace the belts, then it needs to be replaced with a solid tournament system or something. Other than that, the reason why the UFC is more successful right now is because people can understand what's going on. They can follow the plan. In my personal opinion, all of these sanctioning bodies, like they do in most state systems, everything umbrellas under a parent organization. So if they're not willing to form a parent organization to oversee some of this stuff, we're always going to have the confusion, and everything's going to be opinion-based. That's my opinion on the whole thing. I don't know who has a better plan than them.
I tell you what, yeah. I tell you what. If Wilder is #1, there's no need to have the unification. You just have to got the #1 guy. No need to have it.
If Wilder's number one, there's no need to have a unification?
No need. There's no need. If that's it.
I'm confused. I'm confused.
No,
I'm confused by that. Why?
Why? Because if he's number one, there's no point. If he's number one, then he's number one.
No, well, he still has to fight. I'm just saying he's my personal number one. But once again, number one, that's opinion based. It can't be proven until we have a solid ranking and until these guys fight each other. We can sit here and speculate on what would happen or who did more between Anthony Joshua and Wilder. But shit, why worry about that when these two guys can just get in and fight?
Why should tell me what all right, you've downplayed that it's a solid win against Klitschko. What has Wilder done to deserve to be a legitimate WBC champion? How has he legitimized that belt? What's he brought to that belt?
Well, he hasn't brought anything more significant than, Anthony Joshua. Like I just said, Anthony Joshua probably is the only one who you could argue had a signature win. But again, Klitschko was coming off of a loss against Tyson Fury. The missing link is Tyson Fury, the missing piece of the puzzle. He's the one who decided to go ahead and give up all the belts and allow guys like Charles.
Sorry, Doc. 1 second. So you're saying one guy, the guy with the signature win, is second behind the guy who doesn't have a win. So tell me how you're not being totally biased.
No, I'm not. Well, maybe I am being biased, but I don't even consider the Klitschko win that significant because, number one, he was coming off of a loss against Tyson Fury. Number two, he's 40 years old, man. He's not what he used to be.
Okay. Let me jump.
Anthony Joshua, what Deontay Wilder did, you could say that maybe he's fought more people. He fought Jermaine Stavern. I thought that was probably his best victory. He fought other people like Gerald Washington, who we saw fight last night. Chris Arreola, we seen him. He had title shots in the past. Eric Molina. Those are not any big names. I admit that. But in my personal opinion, I believe that Anthony Joshua is the best heavyweight. I think he'll beat Wilder, but we won't know until they fight each other. All I'm saying is that these guys should be fighting each other, man. And if they can't get something solid, then it's going to be just a bunch of us speculating on who's the best.
There's no money in that. Listen, the reason why that fight can't happen is because one man hasn't pulled the leg one. That's why the fight can't happen. It can't happen right now. Listen, right? Your man, Al Heyman, he ain't made an offer to Eddie Hearn. Why would Team Wilder made an offer? Because they know they can't really do anything for that fight. There's nothing they can bring to the fight right now.
What is it that he needs to bring to the fight, though?
He's got to be a money fight. You can't listen. It's got to be a money fight. You can't have
okay. Wait. Okay, Beats.
Well, who do you think it could be?
I have a question.
With a victory over Ortiz, does that bring enough to the table?
He's not fighting Ortiz. He's not going to fight Ortiz.
I'm just asking. I know he's got to fight Stavern. I know what's going on. But I'm saying, what does he need to bring to the table, in your opinion, for this to be considered, for him to be considered qualified for a shot against Anthony Joshua?
I can't tell you off the top of my head, but he needs to do something.
So when the Ortiz fight, that's what the Ortiz fight doing then?
I have a question.
Because they made Stavern the number one in the WBC. There's nothing that he could do about that. He doesn't sit at the table with Sullivan and all of those guys. Those guys took a money grab from Don King. Okay, Don King tried to work something out with Al Heyman so that he could fight Ortiz. That didn't go through because Stavern is still deciding that he wants to make a big deal out of this number one gift that he got when he hasn't fought since 2015. I don't really see what that has to do with Wilder because
Wilder's had that mandatory since February and has done nothing about it. What month are we now?
Well, he needs to get busy and fight Stavern. I said in my last video when I spoke about it, that he needs to go ahead and fight Stavern.
You just said it won his fault. So he's had the mandatory since February. What month are we in now? We're nearly going into August.
Yeah.
Well, Bates, he's been trying to negotiate for that long period of time.
It still doesn't change the fact that him and Anthony Joshua ain't fighting. Okay.
Yeah, but you could have said this. You said because they're
No,
not
I
fighting each
understand
other,
what
you
you're
can't
saying,
rank him
Mobley.
number one, but you rank Wilder number one without them fighting each other. That made you could have still gave the guy his props for having the best win. 20 years
I didn't take
range.
no props away from
Hold
Josh.
on. 20-year range. Hold on. 20-year ranges don't go away
I just
because
said the man had a signature win. What the fuck you talking about?
He did
I
say
just
that.
fucking
He
told
did
you.
say Scorsese, he did say that. He did say that. He clarified.
but one guy's one. You rank one guy number one that's nobody's number one at all, but the number one who's everybody's number one can't be number one because neither one has fought each other. That makes no sense.
I said he's my. I mean, if you really want to get technical with it, then you go to the fucking ranking. And right now, Bermain Stavern, we got 4 different fucking sanctioning bodies. We got Bermain Stavern as his mandatory in the WBC. So you could either look at the sanctioning bodies number one, you could look at BoxRec, you could do your own personal. In my personal opinion, there is not really a solid ranking system.
Or I can look at 10 years of dominance and understand that Klitschko is something that none of these guys are. He's something none of them are. Klitschko 10 years of dominance that none of these guys are. Not a Stavern, not a nobody. One guy beat him, and we just supposed to say, oh, he's nobody now. No, he came back and showed his medal, and it don't look like nobody except Joshua can beat him.
Klitschko was nobody. What the fuck are you talking about? I ain't say that.
But you discrediting the man telling he's not the my whole thing. I ain't worried about him.
40 years old, and he is. He's 40 years old, okay, and he's coming off of a loss against Tyson Fury at the time.
And Blood did clarify that.
Talking, man. So I'll just let you guys battle.
Yep. But he clarified. I was saying, all I was saying, Blood, is that you did clarify what you meant by a solid win. You said it was the closest thing to a signature win anybody's got.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is a signature win, but I can understand because some people have told me they don't see it as a signature win.
It's criticizable, is what you're saying. It's criticizable by some people, is what you're saying. I get it. Yeah,
it's criticizable because, like, for instance, we're waiting on this rematch clause. Hey, the IBF and none of these sanctioning bodies knew about this rematch clause. Did y'all know that? They didn't know. The sanctioning bodies didn't know about the rematch clause. So we're sitting up here waiting on this rematch clause for Klitschko. I know that he had a 10-year run and all of that. I've covered it several times, okay? He had a 10-year run, but at this time in 2017, he was coming off of a loss against Tyson Fury. To me, Tyson Fury is the biggest to blame because he decided to just go ahead and let all the belts go and create a whole bunch of chaos. And the equivalent would happen. I was listening to you guys earlier. Terrence Crawford, let's say he wins all the belts and then he moves up and he just leaves all the belts out there. It's not really up to these fighters, and I'm not going to put too much on them because I think the sanctioning bodies got a little money problem that they need to work out. And I think there could be some better organization because they're always talking about working shit out. I did the research. Several times these guys talked about meeting up. In 2015, the WBO didn't meet with the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF. In my opinion, the WBO should be cut out of the whole thing. But it's the WBA, the WBC, and IBF that decide
those bodies make Klitschko
to make these guys relevant.
None of those bodies made Klitschko Joshua. That chaos you talking about, Joshua wouldn't clean that up with his own broom. Vladimir Klitschko and Joshua said, let's grab our 2 brooms, clean up that chaos. The WBA, WBC, WBO, IBF.
Neither one of them fought Ortiz. Neither one of them fought Deontay Wilder. They need to put something better in place.
Okay, so in the meantime,
that shifts the conversation away from belts and onto resume.
Number one, and they under him until they get to that. You gave Wilder number one just because you didn't want to give it to.
Look, how many times I gotta tell you, Low Place, because you always seem to be last to the party. Okay, I say he's not.
You say okay. So you're admitting you're biased. If you want to admit you're biased, that's your W. If you want to admit you're biased, you say
a pointless discussion with you You know what I'm saying? You're talking about some other shit. He is my personal number one, and that will not.
So you're biased. Okay, that's all we had to say in the chat. We would have never got it.
He said that though.
Yes, stop.
I'm not talking about a dynasty. Joshua. I'm just saying, if he's biased, he's biased. That's what he want to be. Hey, serve that plate up to him all day. But he's not no number one. I mean, I'm just saying. Come on, man. Like that. No, I'm fair, so I approach that.
Low place. Who's your number one? Who's your number one heavyweight? Low place.
My number one heavyweight is Anthony Joshua. And before you came on here, I said that Deontay Wilder would struggle to be in the top 3 of damn near every division in boxing. And that's true. I'm talking about from 122 up, he was struggling.
Wait, what?
He was like with his resume, with what he got going on, he was struggling to be top 3 in any division.
What are you talking about? Divisions are sanctioning bodies. Specify what you're talking about, because he sounds stupid.
Say division. I mean, I think you're putting way too much emphasis on a sanctioning body when 2 grown men can make their own damn fight, and they did.
Okay, then why are they fighting then?
Well, that goes back to the question I had.
There's a mandatory there with Bermain Stavern in the WWE.
Wilder ain't getting a fight because Klitschko Joshua tied up with a great fight that they put in a rematch. Wilder just the eyeball out.
I'm real good at that. I could do that all day. I'll talk all over you on one place. I'll talk all over you. Okay, I told you already how it's going down.
Hey, one second. Hey, Blood. Hey, Blood, one second.
Come on now.
Hey, all right. So I'm gonna monetize this now, yeah. So listen. When someone's talking and everyone's here, everyone knows we're all grown men. Let them finish when they've said they're finished, then yeah, you can jump in and then you guys can decide who comes in next. So let Blood finish. Same with you, Scorsese, and Mr. Doc as well, right? Because there's a lot of us here. We all want to get our opinions out, but for the people listening, they want to hear a coherent debate. So if Blood's finished, or Scorsese, Beats, or Doc, you have to finish your sentence. And when you say I've finished, someone else can jump in, then jump in. If anyone else jumps in before that, I'll just mute you. Does everyone understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I understand. EJ, I got you, bro. I got you.
Go ahead. Blood. Finish your point, Blood.
All I'm saying is, look, I have Deontay Wilder as a personal favorite. I really don't believe in rankings because right now I'm looking at all 4 rankings. I'm looking at the WBC, the WBA, and IBF, and WBO. I have them in my face. I can't memorize these rankings, okay? So I'm being honest, all right? I'm looking at them, and I know all the names on these rankings. I'm familiar with these guys. And these guys are not fighting each other, man. So something has to be done so we can establish an appropriate ranking system to where we could make those decisions. And, you know, the sanctioning bodies, they got to do something to work together if you're going to have some unification and things like that. And if it's time for us to give up the belt, I can acknowledge that, but I feel it should be replaced with some kind of solid tournament system, similar to what they're doing at cruiserweight and super middleweight. That's all I'm saying. Okay, I understand. If you guys like Anthony Joshua better, fine. But these guys need to fight. And right now there are barriers in place that the fighters don't seem to have much control over.
No, the barriers is that Wilder has done nothing with the belt. That's the barrier.
Okay, I have a question relevant to that, Beats. So it sounds like you're saying, just hypothetically, AJ versus Wilder ain't gonna sell out Wembley the way Vlad versus AJ did. Yes?
No, it's not. Okay.
Like guesstimate for me. I mean, would it sell at all? I mean, what kind of venue? You know what I mean? Would it 50,000, 20,000? Where is it at the moment?
The men's last purse was 900,000 on the PBC card. You tell me.
I don't know. I think it's a big fight. I mean, I think selling out.
It's not that big over here, bro. It's not that big over here.
Yeah, I'm asking. That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking. Yeah, I get that. I'm just
not that big over here.
Hey, go ahead, Scorsese. Go ahead, Scorsese.
I personally do think you can pack that thing out. because it's Joshua versus the other champion. I personally do, but I personally think that Beats probably putting a little too much emphasis on Eddie Hearn and Joshua, wondering what's the risk reward value. Not in those words you didn't say it, but it sort of sounds like you worried about like the risk reward.
No. Forget that.
Because I look at the money. Okay, if I'm wrong on that, hold on. If I'm wrong on that, cool. But I look at and I look and see that Joshua's not going to have nowhere near.
Let him speak, man.
Let me clear it up. All right. Let me clear it up. Right. If they're going to put 3 belts on the line, yeah, and this guy hasn't had one signature fight going in, then how can you guarantee that people are going to say, well, what AJ is going to kill him easy? What's the point? When Klitschko and AJ was thing, it was 50. AJ was slightly favored. It needs to be built so it's like, you see, like Broner and Finn, like it was divided. It was finally divided. Some people thought Broner could make an upset, but right now Wilder, forget even the financial aspect. Wilder has been taking salvage camp fights, right, and warm-up fights to get my arm better and shit, right, against terrible. Look, Chris Arreola was terrible, man. Chris Arreola was terrible, and Joe Washington was no better. And he's had the belt for an age. He has. Listen, if anybody wants this to be a tangible fight, he needs at least, I reckon personally, get one good win and then fight. But I don't think a lot of Wilder's fan base have the belief that he could take a really good fight and get through it. That's why they don't want to do it. That's why just fight now.
That's the point I'm making to you. Eddie Hearn's not going to believe that he could get through Joshua, so they're not going to be. To me, I don't feel like they're going to be like, "Oh, we need to sell it out." No, I think they're just going to look at it. We're going to beat him up pretty easy. We're going to take the money, and y'all got that 19-year-old heavyweight that's going to be on a quick rise more than likely. Bam, there go the money fight. Okay, Tyson Fury potentially.
Can I say something real quickly? I want to say, do y'all agree right now that Deontay Wilder is ready for Anthony Joshua right now?
No.
Is he ready to take that fight now?
No.
He's not ready to take that fight. He don't deserve that fight.
Why is he not ready? Why would he not be ready?
Yes, he is. He's ready. He's ready. Go ahead, Mr. He's ready.
Because if you take Klitschko out of there, guys, there is no signature wins. Okay? If you take Klitschko out of the equation, which he'll probably be a thing of the past after he fights AJ, because personally, I don't believe Klitschko could beat Anthony Joshua. Maybe he might get lucky, but let's say that AJ beats Klitschko. Who's the signature guy that Wilder could fight to get that fight against Anthony Joshua? Because both of them are going to be left without a major name that's proved himself in the heavyweight division. It looks like Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury were first at the table. They were the ones who got to eat. They were the ones who got to fight the only signature guy in the heavyweight division, which is Klitschko.
And you know
what? Unless you want to consider Ortiz, he's supposed to be some kind of boogeyman. Right?
And you know what?
Ortiz is one of Anthony Joshua's mandatories. WBA.
And you know what? Look at this, right? So Anthony Joshua got beat Charles Martin and beat, who else did he beat to get a shot? I can't remember who the names he beat. He beat me. They don't know big names.
He only beat Charles Martin and AJ.
And then nothing as well. Like Tyson Fury beat Derek Lewis twice. That gave him a shot. All I'm saying to you is like they're ready to fight, bro. They're undefeated. The world is waiting to fight. Now let me address the point Blood made about all the belts. So Blood, you know, back in the days, all you needed is a signature win against the linear champion to use the name. The Ring magazine and what Oscar De La Hoya is saying, and before you need to get 3 belts and then you become linear, right? Because if there was no champion, if you got 3 of the belts, you came linear. Oscar De La Hoya took over the Ring magazine and he said you only need to get 2 belts and he'll give you a Ring magazine belt. So you don't need to get, 1 minute, someone needs to mute themselves. Like, you don't need to get all the belts. I understand if you want to see the fights, but what I'm trying to say to you is that, and what we was trying to say before, the belts, the belt is all said and done. We're not going to remember the belts. It's the fights, bro. It's the fights. The names are on the fights. Yeah, it's good they have the belts, but bottom line is, we were saying with Wilder, if he has to fight Stavern, and that's what they're saying, so he should just give up the belt and go and fight who he needs to fight. He can get the belt back if he wants to. It don't mean it don't have to be the belts. The belts shouldn't be the argument that why they should make great fights. Yeah, you.
Hey, but will Ortiz fight him without a belt though? Will he fight Wilder without a belt? How about that?
Ortiz, look, the thing is, yeah, when you become a champion, you reach your goal. You've got a belt, right? Look at Tony Bellew. He got the belt. What did he do with it? He dropped it in the trash can and went straight after right after what David Haye. Yeah. Come on, man. You see what I'm trying to say to you? So
what the weather is, these guys decide to use the belt sometimes to negotiate. Like, oh, you don't bring nothing to the table. You don't bring a belt to the table. And there'll be another excuse that Anthony Joshua will say, well, you know, these guys don't have a belt. You know, bottom line is that after this Klitschko thing is over with, there is going to be no more signature name in the heavyweight division. You're going to have a bunch of guys that haven't fought each other. Deontay Wilder, Ortiz, Joshua Parker, all of these guys, Pulev. I mean, Klitschko has fought some of those guys. But once he's gone, that's it. There's no reason. The hottest fight right now is the Deontay Anthony Joshua fight.
What?
Listen, Wilder's my guy. He hasn't done anything. Listen, it will be just Joshua giving him charity. It's not a hot fight.
That's not the hottest fight, man. That's not the hottest fight. Tyson.
Okay, what's the hotter fight then, guys?
Tyson
Anthony Joshua gonna do when Klitschko is done? You think Pulev is gonna sell it out?
Tyson Fury, if he gets his marbles together against Anthony Josh, is the hottest.
It is a weak word, man. Tyson Fury is fast in the game right now.
Oh man, I'm just look. You just said what the hottest fight.
He's not in the game right now.
All right. So you're trying to say, hey, Joseph Parker, Anthony Joshua is hotter than it. You know why? Australia, I don't know about about cricket in the Ashes. Australia versus the UK, we have a rivalry over here. Bro, that fight is hotter than
Are you saying right now, are you trying to say that USA versus UK is not a rivalry either? Are you trying to say that's not a rivalry?
It is a rivalry. It is a rivalry. What I'm saying is,
Joseph Parker, Anthony Joshua.
Listen.
What I want to know. Look, Wilder and Joshua is not far away from. Why are you guys so against Wilder fighting someone else so you can really make it a good fight? So you want people saying, no, let me finish. You want people to be saying that, yo, this is a really 50-50. We don't know. But right now, going in, everyone's just going to say Joshua's going to demolish him. If Joshua does demolish him, they're going to say, oh, you just beat a hype job. Listen,
I don't demolish him. That's a matter of opinion, number one. That's a matter of opinion if you think that Joshua's going to demolish him. That's a look.
I didn't say that. I said yes.
But I'm saying that's a matter of opinion because we sat here and we mentioned something about being biased. People will be biased for a fighter and they'll be biased against the fighter. We've seen this all across the board. But the bottom line is, though, this right here is that we just sat here and said the only way Luis Ortiz fights Deontay Wilder is if a title's on the line. He's made that perfectly clear. So if Wilder drops the title, he gets no Ortiz. He brings nothing to the table. He brings no big name and no title. Then what?
Wilder's not going to drop it, so it's why even mention it? We know he's not going to drop the WBC.
Hey, Wilder could have proved it was 50-50 when they fought likewise opponents instead of getting almost knocked out.
Man, they have fought.
He had his chance to prove it was 50-50. He had his chance to prove it was 50-50 when Gerald Washington stole 5 rounds from him. That's why it ain't 50-50. Not because you don't got a signature win. It ain't 50-50 because he ain't showing dominance. He's just showing one side of the game. Power.
Well, that and it's also got to be a fight that's going to put butts in the seats.
The results are the results, though, man.
Joshua
37-0, 36 KOs.
Wilder just got to take whatever Joshua offer him. It ain't got to put Wilder ain't worried. Joshua not worried about asses in the seats. He gonna.
Oh no! If it doesn't put asses in the seats, Eddie's not going to make it if it don't put asses in the seats. No promoter's going to make it if it don't put asses in the seats.
We hear the name we're saying. We're saying Anthony Joshua. He's going to do that.
They're going to have to fight, but right now, right, it's not a priority. Unless Wilder can make it a priority quicker than it is right now. But right now, it's not really that hot. It's not even that hot in America.
So has Anthony Joshua said, like Andre Ward said, oh, I'm indifferent to it. I don't like you know what I'm saying? has Anthony Joshua took up that tone? But I heard him say, if Wilder want this work, he can get this work. He don't sound indifferent to it to me. It sounds like, yo, bring his ass on next year.
It's not about that. It's about
why is everyone from America is everyone so against Wilder taking the step-up fight?
Nobody's against that, though. Nobody's against that.
There's certain people, B. Certain people. I want them to get a big win.
Because is the barrier right now.
No, you keep blaming Stavern. You keep blaming Stavern. That's not fair. There's been mandatory since February. You keep blaming Stavern. You could have got rid of the mandatory.
And I do blame Wilder. Listen, I blame Wilder for not taking the fight earlier with Stavern. And in my personal opinion, he needs to just go on ahead and get the Stavern thing out of the way because the WBC made a promise to him.
He just put him on bail. He just put that bail on him. Ouch. Y'all missing a hell of a knockout.
Bail too.
About Ortiz is
Lewis. This dude just got the bail treatment. Stood up on the ropes, getting hit. Pow, pow. He couldn't move. God wouldn't let him fall.
Get the mandatory out of the way, and then we'll see what's happening. Let's see what's happening.
He just needs to get the mandatory out the way because we can't move any further because Stavern and them ain't gonna budge. So his best bet is to just go on ahead and fight Stavern and get it over with.
But why is it taking so long to do it though? Why is it taking so long?
Well, that's the part that we all agree on is he should have taken care of that. I said that at the beginning. I said, listen, Deontay, soon as that was announced, network or no network, Deontay Wilder should have went on and got Stavern out the way. He should have did that right away. Because the reality is, if Klitschko don't fight Anthony Joshua, he still got to deal with Kubrat Pulev. He still may even have to deal with Luis Ortiz. So that's why get this dude out the way. Then you could have fight. Then we'll be looking at you fight Luis Ortiz right now, eliminating one of the mandatories for Joshua. That would have put us closer to you and him.
Well, the IBF is Pulev. They're mandating Joshua to fight Pulev, and then they got the WBA mandating him to fight Ortiz. So Joshua is tied up in 2 mandatories and a rematch clause. So now that needs to be worked out. It's just that
if Wilder fights Ortiz, doesn't that take care of one of the mandatories for Joshua? Kind of like how Ward did for when he took care of Barrera for Kovalev.
Absolutely.
You got Baby Miller says that Wilder's using Ortiz to get some publicity, and people are starting to believe it. They're starting to believe that.
Big Baby Miller's using Wilder to build up himself.
Yes, and and AJ too.
The fact of the matter is these guys all have to fight, and because of the sanctioning bodies and the rankings.
How is AJ using it? It's Wilder who called it out when he had the mandatory.
Oh, Jarrell Miller's using Wilder and AJ's name too.
Oh, okay, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Once Klitschko leaves, man, what's Anthony Joshua should do after the Klitschko fight? Let me ask you that.
After the Klitschko
fight is mandatories or unify. There's only 2 options.
So who should he fight first, Pulev or Ortiz? Or should he give up his belts and fight Wilder? Or does Wilder not bring enough to the table for him to do that?
No, you'll have to fight Wilder. That's cleared up. Sorry, in the Klitschko thing, then fight Wilder. 100% fight Wilder. Yeah.
But what if the WBA and the IBF put that pressure on him? Should he give up the belts?
Yeah, listen. I don't believe in letting belts hold up good fights. I don't believe in that.
Okay,
I don't believe in that.
That's fair. But see, my view is this though. I think that Joshua's in a different position than Wilder. Joshua can give up the belts and still generate money. Wilder can't. Wilder can't. Hey, I'm just listen, dog. Over in the US, we will shit on our own. See, there's a difference between other countries, UK, Japan, and Australia, all them countries, and how they back their fighters versus how we back our fighters over in the US.
He's got a point. He's very right. Very correct.
No, he's not right.
That is right, dog.
Over here, it's true.
We have an Olympic gold medalist by the name of Andre Ward that no one will get behind, regardless of what the fuck he does. Regardless of what he
I
does.
Andre Ward got paid $5 million by his promotional company for the COVID fight. We talking about what behind.
Wait a minute. This is
The
even
financial
before
that,
I ain't
but
behind
he's
him.
talking
I
about
ain't
fan
behind him.
support.
Yeah, they right. I ain't behind him. I ain't behind his ass.
See,
They
see,
right. He ain't no Joshua. He ain't no
There we go,
Joshua.
Exhibit A,
Joshua down for
Exhibit A.
whatever.
that's what I'm
Joshua
saying.
down for whatever, man. Joshua down for whatever. Andre Ward ain't.
Well, we got
Andre
it. We
Ward
got
is. He
Exhibit
goes
A.
up and fights Kovalev. Just because he don't fight your boy, don't
No,
mean
he done not fought a lot of people. He done found his way to tickle
you
boxing.
got a lot of people that ain't fought a lot of people. We can go through a lot of guys' resumes. Scorsese, we can go through a lot of
If you want to
guys'
hold on to the belt,
names, but you can't take away from what the man.
Joshua is ready about that business. Andre Ward is about that business at the table. How can I manipulate, maneuver? He's been that way even before Stevenson. Joshua has really been about that business, though.
Okay, so
far.
Carl Froch, Kessler, and all these names. See, that's my point right there. My point. America,
Exactly.
we don't get behind our fighters like other countries, like other countries do. We just don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same about Joshua if it comes to he beat Klitschko twice, but then he starts sitting at the table manipulating, maneuvering, and it wasn't no longer Wilder can beat this work. I get it, but he also manipulated. He came in here doing some manipulative things. He lied to the public, and it's factual. But at the end of the day, Joshua not doing that. I support him way more than I support Andre Ward. But ain't no fanboy shit. If
Joshua's not doing it next. Every fighter, when they've taken that step, we've seen a lot of fighters do that. So Joshua's not doing it yet.
I don't think he has.
Joshua ain't doing nothing special, man.
Deontay Wilder don't make that man fear, man. He don't make that man. He ain't, man. Joshua gonna beat the living shit out of him. Look, I am in Alabama right now. Listen to me. Hold on. I'm in Alabama right now. I'm in the state of Alabama I'm telling you guys,
you can't say that we're gonna hold on to the WBC scrap no matter whatever because your fighter's not supporting you, and then say you can't make fights. It's ludicrous. Because you're in America, that makes not one bit of sense.
Okay, you don't see it that way. I'm just telling you, at that bargaining table, he already don't have the fans, so his only chip he has to play is the belt. If you
the belt's not getting enough. The belt. Listen, in the UK, that belt means nothing.
That's hence my point.
Nothing at all. It means nothing. And to the world, let me tell you, to the rest of the world, that green belt he has right now is valueless.
He can't drop that belt.
Okay.
The bottom line, he needs to have a fight against a significant other, and until then, the belt means nothing.
And no one will fight him for that significant fight without that belt. Without that belt, no one's going to give him that
Eddie Hearn going to say, I want options on you.
Fighting him now. Fighting him now.
Luis Ortiz will fight him right now for the belt. If he drops the belt, he gets no Ortiz.
Well, listen, he can't fight Ortiz. He's got a mandatory. So you're right. Let's stop tripping over that one. Right? We can stop tripping over that debate for the rest of the evening. He can't fight Ortiz because he has a mandatory. Or he would have been fighting Ortiz.
Okay, why does he have a mandatory? He has a mandatory because what? He has that belt. So the only way to fight Luis Ortiz is to drop the belt. But what I'm saying is Luis Ortiz already said, guess what? He ain't fighting if it's not for a title.
Man, he better not drop that gun.
Right now, nothing scheduled for either Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua. Nothing scheduled for either guy. All we're hearing is a bunch of different mixed reports. The only heavyweight championship bout that's even scheduled is Joseph Parker and Hughie Fury. It depends on how much stock you want to put into the WBO. But that's the Anthony Joshua and Wilder, they have us playing the waiting game. Wilder should have already did his thing, but how much longer is it going to take for Klitschko to make his decision on if he's going to come back or not? We're waiting on this so we can know what's going to happen, because after Klitschko leaves, there is no other signature guys. You got all these other guys, Jarrell Miller. You got guys still out there hanging on like Frezzo Quendo, Christian Hammer, Carlos Takam, Pulev is out there. Brazil is out there. Andy Ruiz, a decent fighter from over here. We got all these guys out here. Even Chisora is still a name. Okay? Something needs to happen to where we can know what even is qualified as a signature fight. Because these guys are not fighting. So we need something to determine what's the signature fight.
That's just the skill set to determine if this dude can fight or
the
be a
signature
boss.
fights would have been to take he could have took the $3 million from Eddie Hearn and fought Dylan. That would have been signature.
Yeah, I thought he should have done that.
That would have been a smart move, but not a signature
Yeah.
win.
Not signature,
but
it might not be signature, but the fact that he's on the big stage on pay-per-view.
Okay.
See, when you listen, you got to be
It's,
when you
it's
like,
not just the opponent. Yeah, Beats is right.
right. Once you get on the big stage, then you can start negotiating. Like that's the thing. The fights are low key. You guys might not want to put to his value, but you have to. 900,000 was his last opponent against Gerald Washington, who we saw get his head taken off yesterday as well. It tells a story. It tells a story, man. In itself. That's the heavyweight champion. Your heavyweight champion at 900,000. That's a terrible purse. That sounds like some 60s or 40s money, man.
Yeah, the money thing, that's a whole different discussion, but the fact is that once Klitschko leaves the division, there's not really any signature fighters out there after that unless they start fighting each other because Dillian White at this time, you have to win against Derek Chisora, okay? I just don't really see where how can I even determine that Dillian White could beat Pulev or Andy Ruiz or Big Baby Miller? Like for instance, we have Dillian White coming over here to Nebraska, okay, in 2-3 weeks. They don't even have him a contender schedule yet, man. They tried to throw an old Michael Grant at him, man, and they have all these contenders out here. So
that's just Go didn't want to pay the money. He didn't want to pay the money.
If Wilder let Joshua get to Ortiz before he do, man, that's some shit. I'm telling you, come on, man. That's his Mando. Wilder talking all this Ortiz shit. He got it. Look, if Wilder get that fight, if Joshua get that win before he do, man, it's over.
Yeah,
Shut it down. Shut it down.
It's literally a wrap.
No, that I agree with. I agree with that. That's a wrap.
Yep.
That's a wrap. Which is why he needs to, he needs to go head on, get Stavern out of the way. I mean, I'll be glad we move on from this topic because until that takes place, we stuck in limbo. And listen, it's
Anthony Joshua with that rematch clause. So right now we're waiting on both. We can't determine anything until they get through the politics of this. It's unfortunate, but the barriers are in place. And then after Anthony Joshua defeats Klitschko, let's say he defeats Klitschko, now we have 2 mandatories knocking on the door. Now, one of those mandatories could have been taken care of in Luis Ortiz if that fight could have went through with Wilder, but because Stavern is hiring a legal team and making everything difficult, we can't get no answers. We can't come to a conclusion. So this is becoming very difficult. It's becoming confusing. And what we need to know now is what Anthony Joshua is going to do after the Klitschko fight. What terms will be imposed, Joshua? And, it just goes from there.
Yeah, but I kind of see it like with Joshua, he needs to iron out the Klitschko situation. But I feel like Wilder has been a pro for 9 years or whatever. He needs to this shouldn't be happening to him. That he's saying, "Oh, I can't get a big fight because of mandatory." Look how long you've had the belt and been a pro. To me, it's on Wilder. Not being funny. Let's take the debate outside ourselves. It's Wilder who doesn't have the credibility. It's Wilder.
Well, you know what, too?
Can I say one thing real quick? We all know we're all focused on this whole Wilder and Stavern situation, which we should, right? We can all agree that some of this part is part of Deontay Wilder's while he's in this Stavern mess. We should also say that Anthony Joshua's kind of mess too. It's his fault that why he's in this limbo with Klitschko. Because when they enter that contract, they should have told Klitschko, look, we'll give you a rematch clause. If you decide to invoke it, you got to give us a timetable when you're going to invoke it. If you don't invoke it, we're going to have to move on because we have mandatory you got to take care of.
The difference is Anthony Joshua has got a nice problem. Okay. Wilder has got the same old, just like an anchor around his leg. You know what I mean? And they don't want to take the fight because it's gonna take time to do it. And then it's like his career just not starting. At least Joshua has some momentum. like Wilder's problem is stuck in the mud, man.
But this is the thing, yeah. Wilder got his belt way before Joshua, yeah. But everyone knows the money fight was Vladimir. Vladimir is hard to negotiate. So now Joshua's won the belt. Someone needs to mute themselves. I don't like that background noise, whatever they're doing, yeah. Like now Joshua's got the belt. He's not even in control. He has to sit there like Tyson Fury with his arms folded, waiting for Vladimir to make his thing. Now we're talking about signature wins. Now the casual fans and whatever, they don't care about that. They just care about good fights. So Joshua right now is the guy, and if he fights Vladimir and beats him again, he's definitely the guy. So everyone has to go towards him. Now I understand they have to fight each other, but that's what makes great fights. And Joshua wants to fight the fight, so does Wilder. So eventually these fights are gonna happen. They should have happened a long time ago, because when Wilder won the belt and Tyson Fury stepped into the ring and they had that thing, I'm only one Tyson Fury, and then Wilder said, I will baptize you. That fight should have been signed right then. Y'all remember that? That should have been a fight. That right there, they should have all the relevant parties should have said, bro, give up the belts, just fight us for the WBC belt. Don't worry about the rematch with Klitschko. Come over here and make the relevant fight. They would have made a lot of money, but no one went to move. No one's budget. Everyone's playing chess, and that's what's happening, right? And that's where we are now. We're just going. All we're doing right now is going around in circles, right?
DJ Boxing Live here. DJ Boxing Live here.